Good morning or afternoon. I'm Matthew from Wolfman Analytics, and today we're going to have a look at SVGs and making a red, amber, green little visual to put in tables. So let's jump straight into it. So I've got a table set up here. We've just got month, year down the side, the total unit costs, the total unit price, the margin, and a margin percentage at the end. So what we want is a little red, amber, green status on the end. So you say, oh, you could easily do that. You could just add some conditional formatting to put that in. But that wouldn't be fun, would it? So we could make those that conditional formatting a little bit more fun with an SVG image. So let's jump into it. Let's start by creating our own SVG. So what do we want? Let's do it like, let's go red, amber, green from left to right in circles. So I've jumped over to PowerPoint because it's what most people have got access to, and it's an easy way to create an SVG. So I'm not going to go into the details of what I'm doing on here. I'm just going to quickly run through it. So let's have this outer one. It's kind of a grey. Let's have this inner one. Let's center align these. Bear with me. Right, okay then. So that circle there, we'll have three of these sitting next to each other. Actually, let's try and make it a little bit more fancy. Let's cut out, let's fragment these. Let's get rid of that. Right, so that's our outer ring. Now let's put so this will be our rag status that sits in the middle. That's pretty cool. Get rid of the outline. Let's just colour that in grey. But we'll edit the colours in the what should we call it? In the DAX measure when we put it into Power BI. So I'll leave that as blue for the moment. So let's copy and paste that. Stick that next to it. And then stick that next to that. Right. I think so. Just so I know which one's which, I'm just going to change when we look at the SVG code. I'm just going to change these colors to something different. In fact, why don't we just give it the SVG, give it the red, amber, green colors that we're going to be using later, because I can use the hex code. So this one will be red. I'm just copying these colors off screen from a template color palette that I use. So let's make this one amber. And finally, we will make this one. Oh, dang it. And finally, we will make this one. Well, it is green, but it's not the green that I want. I want that green. That's a bit better. Is the spacing good? I think it is. So I'm going to select all of that. all of that. I'm going to select all of the objects that we've got there, all of the shapes. I'm going to right click. I'm going to save as a picture. I'm going to save as a scalable vector graphics format. Let's dump this. Where are we going to put this? My media. Where's my data folder? Data, Power BI files, SVG shapes. Let's call this rag and save. Right, I can close down. I won't close it yet. I'll just minimize PowerPoint for the moment. So I want to, what do I want to do? I want to go into and have a look at the SVG code. Right, okay, so bear with me. And let's go to where the file is. Where did I save this? SVG shapes. I called it rag. I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to open it with Visual Studio Code. Okay. There is our preview on the right, and here is our code in the middle. Let's just give it the old word wrap. Okay, so we want all of this code. Let's try and tidy it up a little bit before we move it across. So the best thing we can do here is just to break it down into sections, just to make it a little bit easier to read afterwards. So, so we don't need this link here. No, let's not edit anything at the moment. Let's not get faffing around. No faffing. Let's just get this code into Power BI. Bear with me while I'm just faffing. Okay, so these paths are right. It is really important that we distinguish each path here, because we're going to be editing these paths once they are, or rather the colors that are in these paths once they're put into Power BI. So we should have 6, because we had 6. There's 6 objects there. There's the 3 center circles and then the 3 outside rings. So there should be 3 separate path tags with coordinates inside. So what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's great. Yeah, let's just take some of this stuff out that we don't need. We don't need this this link here. Let's get rid of that. What else? Are we good? Yeah, I think we are good. Okay, let's take a copy of this. And let's go back to Power BI. And what do we want to do? Let's create a new measure. So our measure will be the SVG code that we've just taken. We need to make a slight amendment to the code to get it to work. So let's create a variable. What's the first thing that we need to do? Let's just get the image working first, and then we'll start putting some, start making it dynamic based on the the information that's in each of these rows, or rather, sorry, let's be more specific. We're going to make the rag status reflect the margin percentage. So if it's above a certain percent, it will be green. If it's below a certain percent, it will be red. And then we'll have kind of a an in-between zone as well, where we could have an amber status. But for now, let's just get this SVG code working. So the only things you need to add to the code is a header line, which I'll get to in a second. So v header. Oh, also, let's go back to Visual Studio Code. We can't have double quotation marks. We need to find and replace all of those with single quotation marks. So our v header, so I can put in there's a line of code we need to put along the top of the SVG code that we've just copied from Visual Studio Code. For the SVG code equals. So if I just paste this in the middle there, return from the variable block, and then we want to return. Oh no, hang on. We want to combine these two pieces. We want to combine the header and the SVG code here. So let's say v result, or rather var v result equals, which will be v header and v SVG code, and then we want to return v result. Okay. So, things we need to do to this measure. We need to change the data category to image URL. Fantastic. And after we've changed that to image URL, we can add that measure to our table. Now let's give it a meaningful name. What are we on? Measure 5, measure 6. Let's call this M6 SVG underscore rag for red, amber, green. Okay, let's go back to our table and let's add measure 6 SVG rag to the table. And it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Well, we need this header row in. Let's go back to our measure. So the header row is, excuse me while I look at another screen. Might as well just copy actually. So the header row is the header row data image / SVG plus XML UTF-8 comma. Let's press enter on that. And huzzah, we have our rag status in there. Obviously it's not dynamic yet, so let's make it dynamic. We've got these gaps here. Let's sort that out. So I think to fix that, let's go down to image size, height 100. No, height 25. let's say 75. Yeah, that's better. That's better. That'll do. Or should we say height 30? 25. 25. Okay. Right. Let's make this thing dynamic. So we want to do this based upon the margin percentage. So we need to put in the margin percentage measure. So let's just say V margin percentage equals, so we've got a measure called M5, which is our margin percent. So what do we want to do? We want to say, we want to do a switch and say if it's between certain values, then return different colors. But before we do that, we need to set up some, what do we need to do? We need to set up some color variables. So let's do those now. So var fill color. So the fill color, how are we going to do this? So the fill color, okay. I think we'll need to do 3 separate calculations because we're doing 3 separate colors. So, okay. Right. So let's do the first one. I think this is right. So V fill red, and then we will have var V fill amber, and then var V fill green. So we need to insert these variables where we have these fill hex codes in this SVG code. So we can do that simply by, just need to figure out which colors are which before I do that. So which one was the green? Green is 43A974. 43A974. So this one's green down the bottom here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that. No, I'm not. I'll take a copy of that because I'll use that in a minute. Might as well take a copy of the others while I'm here. There's our amber. Here's our red. Right, so here we don't want this to be fixed at that. We want this to return whatever our variable tells us. So I've just put some double quotation marks in, and then an and then we're going to reference that variable. Then I'm going to do the same for the amber. Just take a copy of this, copy that into where that hex value is, and just replace the variable with the amber variable, and then do the same for the red. It's giving me squiggly lines because I haven't done anything with the variable yet. So should we do a switch or should we do an if? Do a switch because I like switches. So a switch, so if it's true, and the true being that margin percentage is, let's say, I don't know, we can change this afterwards, but if this is less than 0.55, so 55%, then return we can make this an if. It doesn't need to be a switch. Let's make this an if. If that if margin percentage is less than 0.55, then return the red. Otherwise, we want to return, oh god, what's white? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think. And then we'll do the same for green. But here we want to go, let's say greater than 60%. And then for the amber, we need to go in between. So the in between will be greater than or equal to 55 and less than or equal to 60, which gives us that in between. Okay. So that should work. So if it's under 55, then it will return red and the others will return white. If it's between 55 and 60%, that will return amber and the others will return white. And if it's over 60%, then it will return green and the others will return white. So let's have a look. Well, we've got something, but it's not working. So let's investigate. Let's investigate. So where's that going wrong? Let's just bring this down a bit so we can see what's going on. Let's go back to our code. Aha, that would be why, because I've got the same hex code in all of these variables, which is a little silly. And it looked like we didn't have any let's just see if that's working now. Look at that, we're getting there. So I guess what we could have is we've got no red ones on there. Obviously I'm just making this up as I'm going along, but just for the sake of making this look a bit like it's doing something, we could have up anything less than 59%. So less than 59, between 59 and 60, and then over 60. black. We don't want black. Oh, there's a typo in my red fill. Add an extra hashtag. And we're getting there, still making mistakes. So what have we got? Let's copy in the correct hex code. And there we go. Da 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 da. That looks pretty cool. I think it looks pretty cool. So thank you so much for watching. It was meant to be a quick video. It's 25 minutes, but there you go. SVGs for rag statuses. Looks a little bit cooler than just having a red, amber, green single dot that changes colour. And I suppose for people that have problems with colours as well, colour blind, you know, various, if whatever level they're on in their colour blindness, by having 3 separate kind of shapes in there, even if you can't see the correct colour, you can still determine whether it's red, amber, green by the position on the image. So that's an upside to it. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you like this work, or if you like this video, do give it a like. And there's more stuff that I do with data, and I'm starting to do some photography as well. So if you wanted to have a look at any of that, go to wolfman.uk. If you really, really like what I've done here, you can help my help me by buy me a coffee, and you can go to my website and you can buy me a coffee on there. That would be wonderful. And yeah, have a wonderful day. Thank you very much. Bye bye.